Welcome to OPC Training Institute's webinar titled OPC Bridging. In this webinar, we're going to cover the problem definition. What is the problem we're trying to solve? We're going to focus on the solution itself, and then I'll give an example of bridging where I'll show you how to manually set up bridges, run as a Windows service, and use Excel for mass configuration of items. So let's get going. So it turns out that in automation, OPC is a very common interface. It's very popular today, and mostly because it provides a very reliable and secure data transportation platform. So there are lots of OPC servers all over the place, and OPC can be used to connect two servers to each other, so one server to the other. The only problem is that two OPC servers cannot communicate with each other directly. What that means is if I have two OPC servers, and it doesn't matter what vendor they come from, even if they're from the same vendor, they cannot talk to each other directly. So how exactly do we get this done? And by the way, this is something that we handle in our classes, in our training classes. Why doesn't a server talk to another server? Just to make a long story short, two servers cannot communicate with each other because they are servers. We need a client in the middle. So the idea is if we have a couple of controllers, we know they're getting data via OPC servers. So OPC servers are bringing the data out to other applications. Now, what we need is a third-party application, and in this case, I'll show you OPC Expert that reads information from one OPC server and writes it to the other. So the idea is that what we've got is we're reading from this OPC server and then writing to this OPC server and down to the controller. And of course, it can go the other way as well. So it'll go both ways without any problem at all. So that's really the idea. Now, what is it that we're looking for when we do this stuff? Number one, I'll show you how to set up the bridges, how to set up the Windows service, because you always want to run it as a Windows service, and how to use Excel for mass configuration. Now, what are the key features that we're looking for in an application that does this? Well, number one, and we've heard this many times from many people, we don't want any installation. So don't change my Windows registry. Don't force me to go to an install that might invalidate something else I might have done before. So no installation. And sometimes if something doesn't work, you want it to be automatically repaired. I mean, you can repair stuff manually, and we show you how to do that in our training classes. But typically, what people want is to know how to repair the problems automatically so that they can get OPC communication. Also, connecting OPC of different flavors, different specifications. So OPC UA, OPC Classic to UA, UA to Classic, UA to UA, Classic to Classic, and so on. So a whole bunch of different OPC flavors, including even OPC XI. And the communication supports actually TCP/IP, binary, HTTP, HTTPS, of course, there's DCOM, and it includes support for all the security profiles, including none. So from something very secure to no security, all of that is supported. And the idea is that you can connect to both local and remote OPC servers. In this presentation, I will show you how to connect to local OPC servers just to keep things simple, but of course you can connect to remote OPC servers as well. Now, of course, we want to run this as a Windows service. Why? Because we want this thing to start up automatically with Windows without having anyone be required to sign on. So it needs to run as a Windows service in order to do that. And the idea is to be able to enable users to view the status of the bridges dynamically and without disturbing the service that's running. So that has to be a separate application. I'll show you how to do that exactly. Now, the architecture is this. It's an interesting architecture. What I'm going to show you here is what's inside OPC Expert. So everything I'm showing you here is inside OPC Expert. So we begin with an OPC DA client and a UA client. So these bring data into OPC Expert's intelligent module. So all this is inside OPC Expert. You're seeing here 3 different modules. There are a bunch of intelligent modules in the blue part. Now, we can bring in data a whole bunch of other ways via Expert's own API, OPC.NET, alarms events, HDA, and so on. So a whole bunch of different ways to get data, including even SQL Server. And once it's inside the intelligent modules, you can send it out to Excel-friendly CSV files, Excel files, or exchange data with SQL Server or MS Access or XML or CSV. And then you can also send the data out via a whole bunch of other modules. So for example, OPC UA, there's a UA server here, there's a DA server, there's an Excel RTD server here as well. So a whole bunch of different servers that all enable you to get data out of OPC Expert. So again, all these modules here, both the green, the blue, all of these modules come right inside OPC Expert. So all of that is embedded inside the actual executable, inside the application itself. Okay, now very specifically in this particular presentation, we're going to focus on these modules. Very specifically OPC DA client and the UA client. All that stuff goes into the intelligent module, and a very specific intelligent module that we're going to talk about is the bridge server. So specifically the bridge server module, there are other modules in there, for example, for tunneling or for archiving and so on. But here we're going to talk about the bridge server module very, very specifically. So again, the steps are 3 steps. Number 1, I will set up the bridges manually. I'll show you how to do that. Number 2, I'll set up everything as a Windows service. And finally, I'll show you how to use Excel for mass configuration so that you can import, export a whole bunch of items and make changes manually. So let's go have a look at that. So in order to do that, I'm going to connect to my computer. There it is. All right. Now, just before I start this, I want to show you what's inside OPC Expert, and it's just this. It's just opcexpert.exe. So when you download OPC Expert, that's what you're getting, just one single executable. Just to give you an idea here, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller here, move it over to the side, because when I double click it, you can see that it creates a whole bunch of new files. So there are the new files that were created, and this is OPC Expert Run. So everything comes out right out of the executable. I'm going to show you what we've got running here. So first, I will open up the PC. Now inside it, what you immediately find are OPC classic servers. Specifically, we've got the Kepware server and the simulator server from Iconic. So we've got these 2 OPC servers here from Kepware and from Iconics, these 2 OPC DA servers. And we have, looks like 4 OPC UA servers. We've got one from Kepware. They have a UA server as well. Kepware makes a lot of servers. They make a DA server. There's a UA server. There is an OPC Expert server, a UA server. This actually comes from the OPC Foundation. So this OPC UA server is here, and so is UA Server CPP. That's from Unified Automation. So we've got several different OPC servers here, and we'll see how to make a connection. So first, I'll begin by connecting to the Kepware server. So we're connecting to the Kepware server, and inside I will go to the factory branch, and inside it I'll go to OPC TI. Here we've got several items, which I'll show you in just a bit. Now, when you're using bridging, it's very, very helpful. I'll just make this big. Good, so there it is. It's very helpful to have 2 windows. So I'll just make this bigger, 2 trees, I should say, and I'll go view right-hand tree. So there is the other tree. I'll make this a little bit smaller now that you know which servers are here, and it'll give us more room. And I'll open up the tree on the right-hand side. I'll open up simulator. So first thing I'm going to do is bridge, read from Kepware flow right here, and I'm going to write into memory, just like that. And OPC Expert immediately yells at us. It says, hey, look, you're trying to bridge two different data types. Are you sure it's okay? Yeah, I know what I'm doing. And I'll click OK. And it creates a bridge. So there's a bridge, and all I need to say now is start. Now, while it's starting up and setting up the bridge, I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller here. And it's already working. You can see the green check mark. And we can see all of our data right here. Now, I'll also get rid of some columns we don't need here, just to give us more room. The source and destination computers, everything is local, so we don't really need them at the moment. Just make status a little bit smaller. Type. Okay. We really don't need source and destination. There we go. So I'm getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff here. There's a Kepware simulator. We got the source, destination. Everything is good. You know what? I'll get rid of these two just so we can see. All right. And there are the data types. I wanted to show you the data types. So a single into a double, and that's why OPC Expert yelled at us and told us, hey, these are different data types. But that's okay. All right, so here we see a bridge, and we're reading from the source to the destination. Now, you'll notice that these don't always line up. So right now they're the same, as you can see, but in a little bit they might not be. It's a little anomaly that we talk about in the in our training as well, which is why might OPC servers, why are the updates not always the same? And suffice it to say that the updates from the two OPC servers don't always come at exactly the same time. And that's why these don't always appear to be the same. Sometimes they are. Okay, they were earlier. They will be later on, but they're not always the same. That's not a bug. That's just a visual anomaly. All right, so we read from an OPC DA server and we wrote to a DA server. Now I'll open up the OPC Foundation UA server. Data, static, scalar, and we'll do more points later on. But what I'll do is I will read from ramp from an OPC DA server. So I'm reading here from ramp, as you can see, and I'm going to write into double, and I'll publish. So just like that, and the bridge starts working. You can see all these updates in real time. You saw that there was an X, now there's a green check mark, which means everything is all right. Okay, so now we read from DA over here and wrote to UA over here on the left-hand side. So I'll close this, I'll open up UA server CPP. I'll show you more than one bridge this time. So we'll go to demo. Let's go into static. And if anybody needs these servers, we can get them for you. So really not a problem. So I'll read from int16 and I'll write to int16. I'll read from int32 and I just repeat this. Didn't mean to put it on int16. I meant to put it on int32. There we go. Drag, drop. There we go. So we made two. I'll make a third one too. Why not? Drag and drop. You can see this might get a little bit annoying if you got lots of items, but that's okay. We'll publish. We can see the updates here. Over here, you'll see the, there we go. Those are okay. Great. So everything is being transferred already. So now we're reading from OPC UA and writing to OPC UA. Last, I'll just complete the loop. I'll read from OPC UA here on the right-hand side, and I will write to OPC DA. So I'll go from dynamic, scalar. All right, I'll take float, and I'll put it inside Kepware here. So I'll put it into custom. So I'll read from float and write it into custom. There we go. Again, OPC Expert yells at us, hey, these are different data type. You see single into a string. It's different, so we'll publish. I said it's okay, we'll publish. And here are the updates. You can see the updates down here and over here in just a little bit. We should see everything start to go. There we go. It starts with an X. Everything is bad, and now everything is good. We got a green check mark, and everything is okay. So there we go. We are now reading from OPC DA servers, writing to OPC DA servers and UA servers. We're also reading from OPC UA and writing to OPC DA. So we're doing all this stuff is happening here. And you can see we've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different bridges. So I made 6 different bridges. All right. So now, and you can see that everything is working quite nicely here. We got the source into the destination. Now, one of the interesting things, if you're doing lots and lots of different items, in fact, I'll do Excel first. If you're doing a whole bunch of different items, so if we, I can go File, Import and Export, and I'll export a template. So there we go. We're going to export a template. I'll just call it template, whatever. And this is what I'm going to use to actually, I'm going to use this template. There's my template. And I'll use that to make new, oh, Excel won't, no, it does. Okay, so there we go. So I'll use this to make new bridges. Now, as you can see here, and I'll expand it, we got the source computer, the destination computer, the source server, the destination server. There's a whole bunch of information on here, like the app ID, there was a prog ID in there, app ID, there is the data type, you can see there's the item type and so on. So a whole bunch of information about these bridges, and you can just follow the examples here and create new data types just by typing in, for example, localhost if you wanted to, or of course you can copy and paste if that's what you want. But I think you know how to use Excel. So what I'll do, I won't save this. Earlier I created this bridges.csv. So before we had 6 bridges. Now I'll so let's take a look at it in Excel. I'll open it up, and yeah, we can see that we got 12 bridges right here. So there are more, and I'll take these ones. So I'll import those. So bridges, I saved template before. So let's go back to OPC Expert. There's OPC Expert. I'll go File, Import and Export. This time I'll go Import. And I'll go to my bridges, which I did just a little bit earlier. I'll open. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes, I do. All right, so what it does is it gets rid of the old stuff, puts in the new stuff. That's what it's doing right now. It's going to give us some updates here. There it is. It added 12 items, and we start. So here we go. OPC Expert is going to start all of this stuff. There it is. It's connecting to the OPC UA servers, subscribing, and here we go. It's starting up. And once again, we can see the source, we can see the destination, everything is being updated. Now, one of the interesting things is that, so we'll restore this. So right now it's working. Everything is working well, you can see. But it is not running as a Windows service. In fact, it's running in interactive mode. So if I go to details, there's OPC Expert. By the way, this is the OPC UA sample server from the OPC Foundation. There are a whole bunch of other servers here as we saw earlier. So in fact, this is the Unified Automation server. This is the OPC Foundation server. KEP server is running over here as well. So lots of different servers. Okay. server runtime, that's the Kepware server, there's the simulator server. So they're all running here. In any case, what you see is that OPC Expert is running as admin. I am logged on as admin right now. So this bridge is running in interactive mode. Furthermore, what you don't see is you don't see OPC Expert here. There is no OPC Expert over here running as a Windows service. So let's go back here, and just to show you, when I close OPC Expert, so when I close OPC Expert, it goes away. There, it went away. The bridging is gone now because it's not running as a Windows service, and we want it to be a Windows service. Again, there is no OPC Expert over here. So we'll start up OPC Expert again. And you don't have to stop and start OPC Expert, of course. I'm just doing this to show you. So there it is. It's there's OPC Expert running again. This time what I'm going to do, and you'll see that the bridging will start on its own. Actually, it's just setting up right now. So there it is. It's setting up, and looks like everything is starting. And again, it's just OPC Expert running on its own. So we'll go to Tools. In OPC Expert, we'll go to Tools, Install as a Windows Service. It's that easy. And of course, it says, hey, look, do you want to run as a local system account, or do you want to run as admin? Okay, we'll just say local system account. We'll say OK. And now OPC Expert gives you the update in real time, disconnected from the bridge server. You can see that, look at that. Now it's a Windows service. It's running. We're just going to be establishing a connection. So it's connecting to the service. And once it's connected, we should see everything running. So there we go. We can see the update here. Aha, green check marks everywhere. Terrific. Now, take a look here. So there's OPC Expert. This you didn't see it. This is OPC Expert Bridge Server. This is the service itself. And you can see it's a service because it's running as the system account. So it's running as a system account. And if we go to Services, now there is OPC Expert Bridge Server. It's showing up as a service. So what we've done is it's running actually as a Windows service. And this OPC Expert Bridge Server is just the bridging module that is coming out of OPC Expert and becoming a service on its own. Quite clever, actually. And as you can see, it's running as a system account. Now, if I close OPC Expert, so I'm closing OPC Expert. There it is. It's going up. It's gone. And you can see that OPC Expert Bridge Server keeps on running because it is a service. So now when Windows restarts, this Bridge Server service will run on its own. So there we go. Let's go back here to the presentation. So I showed you how to set up the bridges manually. In this case, I started Excel for mass configuration first. Then we set it up as a Windows service at the end. So it's reading from one OPC server, writing to another. Actually, that's not really true because in this case, we're actually reading from 4 different OPC servers and writing to 4 different OPC servers, mixing OPC Classic and OPC UA. OPC Expert really doesn't care. Okay, now, we'll get to your questions right away here, but for automated troubleshooting, let me just finish the last couple of slides here. For automated troubleshooting, you can download OPC Rescue or OPC Expert, of course. Both of those provide you a security audit. They document all your OPC settings. They all enable you to view the OPC data, diagnose connections. OPC Expert can, of course, do much more. It's kind of like OPC Rescue on some serious steroids. And so you can download these and give them a try today. OPCexpert.com is where you can go to get them, or OPCrescue.com. All right. Now, if you want to come to one of our hands-on classes, the workshops, you can configure DCOM. You can configure OPC UA. You troubleshoot OPC systems. So what that means is you get it working and then we break it for you. Then you get it working again and then we break it for you. You learn how to properly secure OPC systems. You get it to a state that it's really very, very, very secure, and you learn the best OPC, you learn best OPC, I should say OPC best practices, and of course, earn your certified OPC professional designation. And you can see a complete list of the classes at opcti.com. So I invite you to come down, have a look. Now, upcoming workshops. You got a couple of formats. One, of course, is in person. That's probably what you're used to. You come to a class, and they're all over Asia, Europe, and North America. We've got them all over the place. Just if you go to our website, you'll see the schedule. So you can come to a class. There's the instructor there. Everybody gets a couple of computers. And so you can, you have your own computers that you can mess around with. So we install stuff, we uninstall, we get DCOM and UA configured, then we break it and we see exactly what happens. We diagnose, we fix stuff manually, we fix it automatically, and so on. So that's all in person, but we also have these live remote classes. Pretty much every month. You can see them on our website. Pretty much we've got them every month. These are live, a live instructor, very similar to this format that you have here, where you have the actual presentation itself, and you actually get 2 remote computers that you get to configure. So they're not demonstration computers. They're not pre-scripted or anything. They are real computers that you configure, and you configure OPC UA, OPC Classic, all the different OPC that you need, and configure the security. So you get all of that. You can come up to opcti.com. We got a whole bunch of free software for you, white papers, videos on how to do stuff. So have a look. All right, and that is the end of the webinar. I invite you to the next webinar, which will be in March, actually, and it will be regarding OPC tunneling. So, everybody, this is the end of the presentation. I hope you found this useful, and I hope to see you at the next webinar or at one of our training classes. Thanks again, everybody. Bye-bye.